and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we'll be downsizing my food storage containers. Some people call it Tupperware, although I think that's technically more of a brand than it is the actual item. Nonetheless, that's what we're going to be downsizing today. So let's start by actually pulling out all the Tupperware I own. So as you can tell, I've got a lot of storage containers. In fact, I think I have more than I actually need. Some of them are for work purposes to take to work, and some of them are for just storing food that got cooked and we're not doing anything with it immediately, so we're just gonna put it in the fridge. There's some stuff in here that is just for instance, I'm not one of those people who actually uses Cool Whip containers for food storage, not dissing on anyone for it, my mom does it. I actually use them for grease. So I collect all my grease, and after it's filled up a container, I throw it in the trash as one big thing, and I keep it in the fridge so it doesn't stink. I don't know if anybody else does that. If I'm weird, I'm sorry. So far what I've done is I've put all of the lids mostly on this side and all the Tupperware mostly on this side. I've got these, which I actually think I'm gonna try to knock these down a little bit because I don't need that many grease containers because it actually fills up really slow. Basically, how I'm going to sort this out is I'm going to figure out what all I don't use. For instance, I never use these containers, so I think they're just gonna end up going to a new home, basically. And some of these I do use. Like for instance, I love these containers a lot. They are really good for putting a portion of, I'll say you have a pasta dish. It's a good little portion of pasta for each one of these containers. I've actually been really happy with these containers. I do have some containers here that actually in the long run I would like to replace, which would be these Rubbermaid. I can't remember what the actual thing is called. I'll probably leave a little thing somewhere in this saying what they are, but I actually really like these containers. The only problem is they are microwavable, which means that you're supposed to microwave in 30-minute increments, and ain't nobody got time for that. I don't actually do that, and because of that, some of them have actually been cracking because we use them for work containers, as you can see here. Because we have used them for work containers and we put them in the microwave to heat up our food, and they crack. Long term, I'd like to replace these, especially before we get in the RV, and use them strictly for food storage in the fridge. For now, I'll actually finish out my time with these until I do buy new ones, because surprisingly, they still hold everything, liquids included, and don't seep out those cracks, so we're good right now. I think we are going to be looking around right now, figuring out what's broke. If it's broke, we throw it out, remember? If it's broke, we're gonna throw it out. If it's something I don't use, we're gonna get rid of it, rehome it. And if it is stuff I use, obviously we are going to readjust and put it away properly so it's not as much of a mess as it was before. I've had 2 cabinets worth that were supposed to only have the bottoms. It seems like a lot of the lids ended up down there too because I was trying to only use 1 drawer for lids. Obviously, I'm going to need a 2nd drawer for lids, depending on how much we actually bring this down, but I think I'm still gonna need a 2nd drawer for lids. So I actually want these to get put away properly, and I'll show you what kind of solution I'm going to use to try and divide them and separate them and put them away properly. It's actually gonna be something different than my last kitchen downsize. I know I really like those story containers, but I just don't feel like they would work as well in this kind of situation. So I'm really excited to show you what I have in store for you for this time. For now though, I'm going to figure out what I actually am going to use, and I'll come back to you after this next time lapse. All right, now that I've gotten rid of things I don't use, as well as go through my containers to make sure that any broken ones are taken out. And the other thing I forgot to mention before is I also checked to make sure I had the same amount of lids to the same amount of actual containers. Especially things that are like my lunch containers where there's multiple of them, and perhaps maybe I threw out a container because it had a crack in it. and I didn't throw out the lid with it. So it looks like I did a pretty good job of that. I only had like a few extra lids, and I actually had to take out a cracked container, so I had to take out a lid with it. So I actually did pretty good at maintaining that throughout the time that I've had these containers. So now what we have to do is actually get them put away in a proper manner. Lids in drawers and containers in bottom like it was always meant to be and not how it's been. Let me show you what I have found as a solution for me to actually divide all of my lids out. This is the only like truly customizable, adjustable dividers I could find on Amazon. Perhaps I didn't dig deep enough, but this is what I could find. These things are a little over 12 inches or something, and I'll leave a link for them in the description below. It looks like they're gonna fit my biggest lids, which would be my concern. Like I said, they're like a little over 12 inches, maybe almost 13. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's just see how they go in the drawers. Okay, as you could tell, using these was a little bit of a pain, but it wasn't because of their design, it was because of lack of planning. So if you do buy these with the intentions of organizing your drawers, don't do like me and just like, oh yeah, I can just throw everything in there and call it a day. No, please have a plan first, and then you won't have little bitty pieces of waste. That being said, they were actually fairly simple. You just clicked them in. I know you see me snapping a few. That is what they are intended to do. Supposedly you should be able to cut them with a pair of scissors, but I didn't find that very easy. So I just continued to snap them. A couple of them were a little hard to snap, but that's what they're intended to do. So I feel like we have very organized lids now. And as for the actual containers, well, they should go into the drawers just fine the way they are. So let's just go ahead and slide these suckers in. So although my food storage containers ended up taking up 2 whole cabinets and 2 whole drawers, I still was able to get rid of stuff that I don't use and stuff that's broken and a few extra lids that weren't going to anything in particular. In the long run, whenever we do start going into the RV and being able to work more remotely, we will be able to get rid of the storage containers that are meant for meal prep, thus because we will not be going to a job and having to take our lunch with us. Or at least that's the ideal situation. We'll have to see how that all plays out, but I think we'll be able to get rid of most of those, which will also downsize our storage containers a lot more. Now the future grease containers I did shove all the way to the back because it's a rare occasion when I need to pull one out, and when I pull one out, it's permanently. So them being a little out of sight, out of mind until I need them is completely okay, and I don't consider it clutter or anything like that. Overall though, I think everything looks very neat and tidy, and it's very organized, and I don't think I'm gonna have to dig around for for the proper container or lid that I need, and it'll just make life a lot simpler in that aspect. So anyway, I don't know if this inspired any of you guys. Like I said, I'll leave a link for the little dividers in the description below. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it. If you want to see more like it, click that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it so that you get notified whenever we post new videos. We post every 2 weeks, so if you don't see us 1 week, we're probably coming on next week. Aside from that, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your 2 weeks, and I'll see you then. Bye.